Judging 65 on a first impression, I thought the initial trailer presented a familiar movie in regards to perhaps some other mainstays in the thriller cinema world, specifically speaking of dinosaurs. Those are becoming quite a big thing, and coming off of Jurassic World, it's quite interesting to see Sony try to wade into that space where otherwise Universal's had a bit of a dominance in that area. I mean, Jurassic World has done very well financially as a property, and it's continuing to expand to this day. But 65 appeared equally as competent, maybe with more of a horror bend. That's where Sam Raimi is very distinctively well recognized for many. And I do feel that perhaps even with some of his recent film entries that were not as serviceable perhaps in recognition maybe to other past fare. I say, for example, like Evil Dead is very well regarded even though I've never seen it. But Doctor Strange 2, a lot of problems. Not with Sam Raimi though. As I've said many times, I thought that film was quite good on a horror impression. I was very impressed with what Sam Raimi brought in. And it was distinctively Raimi in terms of style. And it wasn't my first exposure either. I'd seen a previous film that he produced, being Crawl. It's a smaller movie, but I highly recommend it. It came out a couple years ago. Wonderful film. Absolutely wonderful in terms of thriller atmosphere. I was very engaged the entire watch. It's a wonderfully presented, smaller movie. But it gives a good scope in promise to what I think 65 will be. And on a first trailer, it did feel quite connected in terms, again, the dinosaur presence to other familiar properties, admittedly. But I felt that there was a unique twist to it in its direction. Again, I hope it taps more into that horror energy. We'll see. But there were dinosaurs running amok. Adam Driver's in the movie. He's a, engaging lead for many, and I do think perhaps he's wanting to get maybe in a better franchise stature of recognition than maybe where Star Wars left him. Not his fault in any way. That's those movies. There were a lot of problems there, but I won't go on that tangent right now. Let's see on a second look how 65 presents itself. I think thus far, though, it's given a very competent impression. It's debuting in March. I still think it's an odd release date, but we'll see. It's going against Dungeons & Dragons, Scream 6, and I think a couple other pictures as well from what I'm thinking of. 65 could do very well. And again, like I said, if it taps into the audience that's been around for Jurassic World, and people are like, hey, I love dinosaurs over there, let's see what Sony has to offer with more horror-astute people in general in terms of this picture's focus. Again, that's my impression. I'm curious to see how this film, debuts. But for now, let's stick with this. I have to admit, too, thinking about it, I did say the second trailer, my assumption was, given the time frame, it was going to debut at the Super Bowl. So this is a bit early. I think you would have been better maybe to save it for the Super Bowl in terms of getting a wider debut. I don't know. Let's see how it presents itself right now, though, in its second trailer. Again, we're still in the early days of getting an impression. But let's build on what we have thus far. Run. And again, some defined references to other sci-fi fare. Especially on the space side.
Who's the pilot of the ship?
We've crash landed on an uncharted planet.
Good location shots. Again, I think I mentioned that the first time.
I don't know where
but it's really true just watching this trailer. I love the environment they have.
Something alien.
And the dinosaurs are equally well realized.
We must get to escape from
just like to Jurassic World.
Location unknown.
We need to be quiet and move.
With good variety. But it's not like just a T-Rex the entire time.
Family.
Ready? Run!
It does feel the Jurassic... I'll cut to it in a minute. I was gonna say there's some undertones to like A Quiet Place or something like that with that. Yeah, I am worried about this movie in part, given again the Jurassic World connection through the dino stuff and how prolific that franchise is. There are clear homages to other types of productions here. My worry is that maybe it dips too much into that. And it's not wrong, by the way, of course, to reference other sci-fi fare that is perhaps adjacent in focus. Just make sure you're still your own thing. I do worry that there's a potential for this to cross over into being like, well, it's basically like Jurassic World of a horror atmosphere, and Sam Raimi is helming it. It's a good movie, at least from what I'm seeing thus far. I'm not going to fault it in terms of a quality on a first impression, because I think it's serviceable. I'm just, again, worried these projects are too similar to one another, that maybe audience viewers can't necessarily tell the two apart. I am worried about a distinctiveness factor. But the environmental choice, I think, is great. I do like the content of the references, though. Like I said, that first shot for me at the opening beginning, I said this in the first trailer as well, very Alien Covenant. At least when I look at that image, it reminds me a lot of that movie. And Adam Driver, he's a good actor. He's been in a lot of projects recently. But in terms of getting a better reputation in terms of larger franchises or developing ones, I hope the best for him. Because it seems with this project, I don't know what the debut is going to be. Again, I still find March to be a bit odd. Especially when the Jurassic World movies have been, I believe universally, I can't remember about Fallen Kingdom, but both the first and the third one were in the summertime in terms of a release. This seems more in, again, it's a film with a smaller focus in comparison, just two characters and lots of dinosaurs on an alien planet somewhere, but the presentation to me feels more like a summer thrill ride because, again, of how close it is in persona to Jurassic World. And plus, speaking of dinosaur movies, there's quite a lot, whether it be larger pictures or smaller ones. There are trends, I've spoken many times about this, in the thriller horror atmosphere. There are a lot of filmmakers, especially on smaller ones, that will tend to look at another picture that maybe recently came out and say, hey, we can do our own thing. Now, I imagine this one's been in development for a little while. I just, again, I'm a bit worried about the comparison between the two projects. I want to see, works be original in nature. Even if, again, I say this as a Jurassic World fan. I'm open to liking this. I like dinosaur thriller fare. I like the first trailer, and I like the performance of this one as well. It comes off to me like a strong thriller fun ride in the theater, but it is so similar to Jurassic World, at least in the feeling that I experience, that I am worried about the ultimate audience response and it coming across as too similar. I hope it doesn't. And I hope it does, again, bend more into that horror edge of what Sam Raimi is known for. I know he's not, I don't think he's directing this, right? I think that's just a production credit in regard to his name attribution. I could be wrong. Let me confirm on this really fast. It's not him. It's Scott Beck and Brian Woods. All right. I hope it's good. Because, I think, again, of Sam Raimi's production credits before, and I loved Crawl, and I liked his horror cues, his very overt horror cues of Doctor Strange. So I hope this is equally as good on that direction. We'll see. What are your feelings, though, on it? How many of you feel like this is kind of dipping into the territory of Jurassic World? And again, like I said, it's not wrong to have an homage at all, or many. You just want to make sure you're still enough of your own thing that I, as a movie viewer, can tell the two projects apart. And I do feel there's a bit of I feel myself that there's a bit of a blurred line. Maybe you feel differently. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. I'm hoping for the best for it. Again, I still feel that March is a bit odd of a selection month in terms of when to debut this. But we'll see what the project has to offer in time. I think for now, I've got a good idea of what it will be. Time will tell in terms of the full efficacy of the project, but I'm hoping 65 is a competent picture. I would imagine, again, just like Jurassic World, it's not that hard to perhaps make a compliment picture. I just hope it's to that level on the horror side. We'll see. I mean, again, even Jurassic World has that scare factor to it in terms of tone. Like Fallen Kingdom was a great example of that. I hope 65 is a bit more ominous. But again, even more so that it's its own thing. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.